Acts 23, 4-8. Those who were standing near Paul said, "How dare you insult God's high priest?" Paul replied, "Brothers, I did not realize that he was the high priest, for it is written, 'Do not speak evil about the ruler of your people,' from Exodus 22:28. Then Paul, knowing that some of them were Sadducees and others Pharisees, called out the Sanhedrin, "My brothers, I'm a Pharisee, descended from Pharisees. I stand on trial because of the hope of the resurrection of the dead." When he said this, a dispute broke out between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. The Sadducees say that there's no resurrection and that there are neither angels nor spirits, but the Pharisees believed all these things. Two substantial things go down in these 5 verses. First, Paul backpedals on insulting the high priest. Second, Paul deliberately divides the crowd, or does he? Let's deal with the insult first. Paul quotes Exodus 22 not to disrespect your leader and seems to be making some kind of an apology here. But Paul could be snarky here. Scholars have much to say about this. It might have been that Paul's vision was so bad that he couldn't see who it was. Others suggested it was an informal Sanhedrin meeting, so they'd all be wearing whatever robes they already had on, not the formal ones, so he wouldn't have known which role was which. In other words, that he wouldn't have violated Exodus 22 intentionally. What feels important here is that even if Paul didn't respect how he was treated in the situation, he respected the divine office given to this ranking Jewish senior. This can be a helpful distinction in discerning between how we treat independently bad actors in the church versus the role they're playing. Some of us might have church trauma from past ecclesial authorities. That doesn't mean that all elders or evangelists or deacons or teachers or whoever are bad. They're human. Only God is all good. The role could still be a good and biblical idea even though someone wasn't doing a good job at it. Okay, now the second issue. Verse 6 says, Paul knew some of the crowd were Sadducees and other Pharisees. Since he himself was a trained Pharisee under the revered Gamaliel, he knew as soon as he dropped the word resurrection into the discussion, the room was going to blow up. That was the defining separation between the two groups. The Pharisees believed in the concept and Sadducees did not. And there was not a more volatile issue, and Paul knew it. What do you think? Is there a time to purposely create disruption, distraction, and even destruction? I personally don't know if I could be persuaded that this is prescriptive behavior that we should all imitate absolutely, but I do think it's a fascinating case study in how to deal with an aggressive crowd. Maybe it was pure survival to pit them against each other. Maybe Paul was genuinely still defending the gospel. Or maybe this was his revenge fantasy come true for him. I don't know. What are your thoughts? And what do you think you would do in his shoes?